guys, and welcome. It's Sarina Fazan, and it is Wednesday at noon, my favorite time of the week, because it's time to go on the record. And I have to say, okay, as many people who know me and who have known me for years, I rarely get nervous or not talk, but today I'm a little bit nervous because I have two women here that I admire so much. Let's first introduce Michelle Sisco, Judge Michelle Sisco with the Hillsborough County. Look, I'm nervous. I can't even, with the criminal court system. Oh my gosh. She's my rock star. Rita Lowman, who's also a total rock star, the president of Pilot Bank. You guys didn't even know each other until today. Correct? You probably knew each other by name, but did not meet. So thank you so much for being on the record.
My pleasure.
Me. Okay, so let's start going on the record. So Rita, let's start with you. So you are the president of Pilot Bank, and you are one of, like, I think, what is it, like less than 5 presidents, female presidents of a bank in the state of Florida, right?
We actually have 6 women presidents in the state of Florida, which is amazing to me. But no, I do have that honor. I've been in banking 44 years, and I love it. It's something that's a passion, and when you have that passion, you make it work. And I was the 3rd woman to be the chair of the Florida Bankers Association in 130 years. So that was a pretty big accomplishment, and I'm the only Florida banker that sits on the American Bankers Association board, plus I'm on their executive board. So as you can see, I really believe in the organizations that we serve. I believe in our communities, and it's all about giving back to our communities.
Well, you're amazing, and this whole show is about incredible women and their inspiring stories. Thank you. These women are incredible. So Judge Sisco, Michelle,
yes.
Tell us about you.
Yes. So I am Judge Michelle Sisco. I'm a circuit court judge here in Hillsborough County, which is the 13th Judicial Circuit. I've been on the bench. It'll be 19 years in September. So since 2002, and I was raised in Fort Myers, and my family's in the restaurant business. And my family moved here when I started high school at Plant High School. My dad opened up a restaurant here. And then I graduated, went to Vanderbilt, then went to University of Florida for law school. When I graduated from law school, I was a prosecutor for 6 years at the state attorney's office, 4 years at a private firm doing white-collar criminal defense. And then I was appointed initially by Governor Jeb Bush in 2002 to a county court spot. And then I was appointed again by Governor Bush in 2005 to a circuit court spot. And so that's where I've been.
That's so awesome. And Michelle was on actually with her dad last year around this time for Father's Day, A Father's Influence. And I have to say, so I love tracking the numbers, for my podcast, which one people listen to and watch. And that still remains among the top 10, by the way. So I would encourage people to go back and watch. But okay, so Rita.
Yes.
When you were 9 years old, you actually went before a judge for the first time.
I did.
Right? So her story is pretty incredible, didn't you? So 9 years old, your parents got divorced. So. And you're open about this, right?
Oh, I am. It's in my book.
So it's in your book. Yes, she wrote it. And the name of your book, please.
From the Farm to the Boardroom.
Yes, From the Farm to the Boardroom. So 9 years old,
yes.
You go before a judge. Tell Michelle this story and tell our audience this story.
It is interesting. My parents were divorced, and they both wanted me. I was an only child. But what was happening is I was going from one parent to the other for 6 months. So pack up your stuff, you go to the other one. And so Judge Land, I remember it just vividly, and I love Judge Land. He said, Rita, what would you like to do? 9 years old, a judge asked me what I would like to do. I said, well, if I had my choice, my parents live 5 blocks from each other. I'd love to stay with my mother during the week and my dad on the weekends. He said, I think that's a great idea. Well, my parents loved it because I could hop on my bike, go back and forth either place, and it really made it fun. Even on Christmas, I could just hop on my bike and go to the next ones for Christmas. That was really cool. And what it really did, it brought us together because I had 2 amazing step-parents also. So these 4 parents had 1 child, and we came from very modest background, but we still loved each other dearly. And so I'll never forget, in high school, my dad was president of PTA and my mom was the vice president. So this is my real dad and my real mom, and then my step-parents supported. So again, if you bring it all together and you think about the child, then that's what's important, and I believe that's what Judge Land was doing, and that's why I admire judges. I was sharing earlier that one of my favorite friends and judge who was Judge Martha Cook, and they both went on the bench at the same time.
We did. We went to Judicial College together. Yes, we did. We did.
So the world's actually small, so we do know many of the same people.
Isn't that something? And so, speaking of that, Michelle, why is it that when you are appointed as a judge, so many times you do start in family court?
Yes, you do start in family court. I have not gone to family court yet. And I'm curious, what jurisdiction was that in?
I wouldn't know. I lived in Muskogee County in Columbus, Georgia.
Okay, in Georgia. So it was in Georgia.
Yeah.
So that's pretty forward thinking for a judge at that time. And it's amazing, and to your parents' credit, that they were able to co-parent together so successfully. And even though I've never done family court, I can tell you just what I know from the court system generally. If all parents just put their children first and their interests first, there'd be a lot less of a need for family court judges. Actually, probably put a lot of them like no longer need to come to work because we can resolve this ourselves. But and so, what was the question again?
I was asking, like, why is it, Michelle, that some, and I know you did not, but I know with a lot of judges, they do start in family court.
They do.
Why is that?
Well, I hate to.
We don't have to get political or anything.
No, it probably, I think it is, at least in our jurisdiction, it's considered a less desirable assignment because there is so much emotional conflict, and you really do see people at their emotional worst. And so I do think, for the judges, that for whatever reason, that's just one of the more lesser desirable assignments. So the newer judges go there because we basically get assigned based upon seniority. The other court where oftentimes new judges will start out is juvenile delinquency, and so that it's normally one or the other. But in some jurisdictions, family law is a desired place, and I think it really just depends upon what's going on in the other divisions as far as what the judges prefer to do. So I have not. The closest ever I came, I did do domestic violence injunctions out in Plant City as a county court judge. And that was really, really something because you get all sorts of, and it's not just domestic violence, it's, any type of injunction. So I remember I had a case where the neighbor's goat was trespassing on the other neighbor's property, and it just got really ugly over the wandering goat, so I had to mediate that. And then what struck me, because I wasn't even married yet, I was engaged but not married yet, I was to be married, on these domestic violence injunctions, how these people would come in and just air their dirty laundry, just like it was their living room. And they had known me forever. And all I would think to myself is, you people are on the record? Like, this is being transcribed for posterity. And so that just really, I think that was enough of family law for me. But, that's really the reason why.
Yeah. But on the family law, what I would think though would be the rewarding part are the adoptions.
Yes. Oh no. And we have a Judge Catherine Ezrick, that's handled those forever, and that is a wonderful, wonderful thing that she does. And another, probably one of the tougher assignments. Well, they all have their pros and cons, but juvenile dependency, where you're dealing with children that are in need of services, that's a really, really tough assignment too. But there are a number of judges that have been there for a long time and are very committed to that area of the law, which is great.
Yeah.
Well, so her daughter, so Michelle has 2 kids as well, and I always tell her daughter Sophie that her mom is a rock star, a total rock star. Like, she's a judge. We're talking about like only 6 female presidents, right, for banking. I mean, how many judges are there in general? So my question to both of you, though, with your careers, and Michelle, we can start with you. Did you ever envision that you would become a judge? I mean, did you have this dream that you wanted to be a judge one day?
No, I really didn't. I didn't even know after when I was at Vanderbilt and I was getting ready to graduate, I really didn't know what I was going to do. And so I actually got offered a job at a bank.
Okay.
And I thought about it for a while, but then, I don't know, for whatever reason, I was a political science major, and I just was kind of interested in the law. And it was funny because my dad is the quintessential entrepreneur, and he hates lawyers. And so, however, he wanted me to become a lawyer because he felt like he had a member of the enemy in his camp. So he was very, 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 very much wanted me to go to law school. So when in fact I was debating because I got accepted to Florida and I got accepted to SMU and Tulane and Emory and these other private schools. And he was so desperate for me to go to the public school, the less expensive of the options. He goes, I'll buy you any car you want, please, please. And I wanted to go to Florida anyway, so I'm like, okay, I'll take that deal. So, but no, and really then when I got out of law school, I ended up at the state attorney's office, and I really didn't know whether or not I was going to be able to litigate or not, because I really hadn't done that in law school. And so it's baptism by fire at the state attorney's office and the public defender's office. It's great because it's the only place you can go to really get trial work and to hone your trial skills. And as it turned out, I had a passion for it, and I learned that if I really believe in a cause, I can normally be a pretty effective advocate. And then the judge thing was more of a natural just kind of development because I was in court so much, and there were so many judges I'd practiced in front of that I really respected. And when 2002 came around, there was an opening, and I thought, you know what, this is as good a time as any to, get appointed if I can, and luckily I did. So
good for you. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are you listening, young girls?
Yeah.
Especially listening to this. So Rita, tell us about you though. Did you always envision that you would be the president of a bank and climb this corporate ladder?
Well, it's really funny. I started my career in banking and marketing, and so I always kid. Now I love marketing, and
my business partner is here, Tanya Cielo, who is like one amazing marketer. But I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, Preston is. He's an amazing marketing person. But back in my day, it was parties and balloons. And so I started out with that. I came into Florida through my husband. He was with Kraft Foods for 35 years. And I went to work for NCMB and stayed in marketing and advertising. And then all of a sudden I received a call and said, we want to see if someone in marketing can really run a bank for us. They said, we can teach you the technical skills, but we can't teach you the people skills, and you have those. And I said, okay. But you know what? It was the best thing I ever did because not only did I become a generalist, not a specialist, but I also managed, since then, I've managed I've got 23 or 24 acquisitions behind me that I've managed. And doing that, you learn so much about banking. The largest one that I ever did was the Barnett acquisition when Nations Bank bought Barnett. And I received the Crystal Grenade from Hugh McCall on that. And that was just really exciting for us along those lines because you learn about people and you really I've got to share this. So Hugh McCall had this great statement, and I love Mr. McCall. He was a wonderful man, did a great job as the chairman of NCMB Nations Bank, Bank of America. But he would always get in front of the associates that we were acquiring, and he would say, the train has left the station. If you're not on the train, you're not part of the acquisition. Well, I needed everybody to do this acquisition. So as soon as he would leave the building, I'd hop back on the stage and say, oh no, we need all of you. So please know that you're part of this acquisition and we're so proud for you to be on our team. But that really helped me because again, in 2000 when I left or actually it was Bank of America at that time when I left, a good friend of mine who had been my mentor and still is one of my dearest friends, Alex Sink, she left a little bit earlier, and then 4 of the other women left the bank at the time. And they gave us a very nice retirement package, which is a nice way of saying we were no longer needed at the bank. You know what? It was the best thing for all 4 of us because then I went into community banking, which I dearly love and have had the pleasure of going in and really helping some banks be successful. But more importantly, finding people like Preston. And now I have Christopher on the team too. But Preston and about 60% of all of the associates that are with me at Pilot Bank, we've had the pleasure of working together in the past. And I think that just speaks volumes for all of us because our vision, our values are so much in line and we know that we can trust each other.
Well, Alex Sink, one of your dear friends, of course, was on the show.
Right.
Like a month ago or so. Talk to me both about, with both your careers though, as females, how hard, and I don't want to say hard, but is it more difficult, was it a difficult path to achieve as a woman climbing up on those ranks?
Well, I'll start and then we'll go from there. It was because, again, it's a male-dominated field in banking. And when I say that, people say, well, I see all women in the banking centers. Well, that's absolutely correct. You do. Our managers, our relationship bankers, many of those are women. However, all of the C-suite that you see are predominantly men. And so the first time I ever walked into the boardroom for the Florida Bankers Association, I was the only woman around the table. Not that there had not been women before, but by the time I left as chair of Florida Bankers, we did have 5 that had sat around the table. And I thought that was a really big accomplishment. But my hardest opportunity or challenge was we had a bank that we actually went in and started as de novo. And this is nothing that I've not shared in my book, so it's not like I'm disclosing anything. But the chairman of that particular bank in the board meetings would call me honey. And he would say, honey this, honey that. And so here I had to share with the primary shareholder of this bank, who actually really owned the bank, and I needed to share with him don't call me honey in the boardroom, please. Call me by my name because you don't call the men around the table Sonny.
Right.
And I tell you what, that was a really hard thing for me to do because I know it's an endearing term for some southern places. And, I'm from Georgia. So, yes. But that was my dad calling me honey, or that was my granddad calling me honey, not the chairman of a bank. And to keep my credibility, I had to make that statement, and I did.
I'm so proud that you did that,
Thank
too,
you.
that you actually spoke up.
Right.
Michelle, what about you, though? Also, I mean, it seems like a male-dominated field.
You know what? It actually, there was a time when it was, but really in Hillsborough County now, I think almost half of the judges are now women. And so I had the benefit, because I'm a little bit younger, so I really had the benefit of a lot of the women before me paving the way. And I'm so grateful that in today's environment, a young girl can choose what you wish to do. If you want to work outside the home, great. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, you can. So I think we're so blessed that we have those options. And I have to honestly say, I have never encountered a glass ceiling. There may have been one, but I was not aware of it. And I really think I've always felt that if I worked hard, I would be rewarded. And that's always been my attitude, and that's always been the case. And I really think that stemmed from the household and really my relationship with my dad. I was the only girl. I've got 3 brothers. I have 5 cousins, all boys. And whenever we vacation in the summer, there were 2 families we vacation with, all boys. So I'm used to being the only girl. And like when we were kids, whenever we played sharks and minnows, I'd have to always be the minnow standing at the diving board. All the sharks like, okay, you go first. You be the first minnow. And I think because of that, I don't know, I've just always been surrounded by boys. And in my household, my dad's household, I would describe, my dad's a macho guy, and he had, 2 brothers, and my grandfather, they were all kind of macho guys. But my dad at the same time always instilled in me, you can do anything you want. Anything you want. And he really loves a smart woman. Like he really values a smart woman. And so I knew that, growing up. And so if there was a glass ceiling, I didn't see it. And but I will tell you, even as a judge, I do very rarely, but every now and then, I am the object of sexist comments and attitudes. And it's always just amazing to me. And it's really the exception. It's really, really rare. But, being on the bench for almost 19 years, my reputation, for better or for worse, is established. Like, people know what they're going to get when they come into my courtroom. And I can tell you the one thing that I'm pretty certain of is that no one controls my courtroom but me. And everybody knows that. But every now and then, there'll be mostly a male attorney that will come in and think, okay, listen, little lady, I'm going to show you how this is done. And they have to be disavowed of that, hopefully, easily, sometimes a little more difficult. But I really have always felt that if I worked hard and that I would be rewarded for that, and that really has manifested itself. And that would always be what I would tell young women, like always have faith that you can do it. And, there will be setbacks, and it's not always going to go perfectly, but you always have to know, okay, well, there's a reason why I've had this issue come up, and I'm going to work around it, and I'm going to be better on the other end of it once I've, met this challenge head on. So I think that's a good thing, too, is, when the challenge arrives, lean into the win. Don't be fearful. So that's my, best advice.
See what I mean, guys? Rock stars. These 2 are such rock stars. We have so much more to talk about. Why don't we go to a break? Because when we come back, I want to talk about more some of the advice that you guys can give. And I want to go somewhere else that might be, if you know me, love related.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
We'll be right back.
All right.
I'm Sarina Fazan. We're all so busy. And if you're like me, laundry is at the bottom of your to-do list.
If only you could take care of it in a Zip, right? Well, I have news for you. With Zip's Dry Cleaners in South Tampa, you can. Affordable, fast, and stress-free. That's why Zips is Tampa's favorite dry cleaners. For just 99 cents a pound, Zips will wash and fold your laundry for you. Just drop off your dirty laundry before 9 a.m. and you'll have it back, fresh and clean, the very next day. Have dry cleaning too? Drop it off by 9 a.m. and it will be ready the same day by 5 p.m. for just $2.49 an item.
And even more convenient, Zips will drop off your dry cleaning and your laundry for a small added fee. Zips didn't invent dry cleaning, but they perfected it. Stop by and see for yourself.
I'm Sarina Fazan, and like most people, my skin is a priority. When you look good, you feel good. That's why I turned to South Tampa Dermatology, a full-service medical and cosmetic dermatology practice. Dr. Flynn and her dream team offer the products, services, and procedures I need to keep my skin healthy so I can perform at my very best. And they can do the very same thing for you. It's affordable, and your confidence is priceless. Just head to stderm.com or call 813-872-9551 to make an appointment. Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us on The Record. I'm very, very super excited today because I have two amazing rock stars that I look up to, President of Pilot Bank, Rita Lowman, and Judge Michelle Sisco. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. You're inspiring me. I'm like, oh my God. All right, so we were talking just before the break about a father's influence to Michelle, and her dad were actually on my podcast about a year ago, and I would encourage people to listen to that, and I mean, how much he has guided you. So, but love. I love talking about love. Now, Rita, you're married to your high school sweetheart, right?
I am.
Michelle, you know I'm a huge fan also of your husband, Paul Sisco, who has been on the record several times weighing in on criminal cases. In fact, Paul's also been on We Trust Travis, another podcast I'm hosted. So I want to talk about, too, I mean, you guys are such strong women, pillars of the community, such great role models for young girls. But when it comes to love, sometimes I think, you know, all of us are, let's just say, not the strongest. I haven't been, you know, in my life sometimes when it comes to love. So talk to us about how, did you know when you met your husband in high school that he was the one?
I really did. June the 11th, we'll celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Thank you.
congratulations.
And the thing is that we both have so many of the same vision and values, and just we've worked so hard together as a family to be able to bring the boys up. My husband was with Kraft Foods, as I mentioned earlier. He retired after 35 years. I've always been in banking. We may not live in the same state, which that did happen for 7 years because, again, I was building my career with Nations Bank, Bank of America. He was with Kraft as an executive. And so weekends we were together as a family. That's not easy, and I don't always suggest that for others because, again, that may not be the right step for you. For me, it worked out well because, again, I love what I do, and he loved what he did, and the boys knew that. I would take the boys with me on transitions. They were always with me. Anytime I needed to do something, they were there. They knew what was going on in our lives at any given time. However, I do want to share that your spouse or your significant other has a role to play, and you have that role to play. And I felt like our role was to lift each other up. And that was really important because, again, there are times that you both can have a down day. And if you're not there together to support and to be able to say, we can get through this today, then you may not be able to. And it's been really important for us. We have a sanctuary, as you may know, and it's our farm. And we'll go to the farm and just really decompose at times and enjoy being together for, even if it's only for 48 hours. It's a way to be able to do that, to renew ourselves together. And even though Gary's retired, he's not retired. He handles all of we have some personal businesses, and he handles those and just continues to do so much for the family. And he is my sounding board. I have 3 people that are my sounding boards, and of course, poor Preston has to hear a lot of other things that not necessarily the sounding board on that, but Alex Sink is one. Bill Click, who many of you may know, Bill was the CEO of Republic Bank that became BB&T, and he's been my sounding board for many years. And in fact, Bill gave me the best piece of advice. I called him, and there was a bank that wanted me to come and join them as one of their top 3 executives. And he said, Rita, your core values do not meet their core values. It was the best piece of advice he'd ever given me, and I did not take that. And then, of course, my other sounding board is Gary, my husband. And I feel like if you have surrounding yourself with people that can help you grow, and if you are authentic and believe in yourself and know what's in your heart, then you're going to be able to grow together and be successful together.
Gosh, that's so wonderful. You know, Preston Rudy, not this Preston, but Preston Rudy, who owns Catalyst Communications, and was he's won like 24 Emmys, you know, in Channel 10. So he was also on the show, and that's what he said too. He said. The advice, and I wasn't even talking about love with them. I had him and Brian Kornfeld on, you know, the CEO of Synapse. And Preston said, you know, the one piece of advice that he gave for his success, he also credited his spouse for being that best friend, for being that rock, and for being there. And I think that that is great. The basis, foundation, right? The friendship and foundation. So Michelle, I mean, let's talk about you guys.
Wow.
Like, you and Paul met in the workforce, actually.
We did. We met at the state attorney's office. And I have to tell you, Sarina, so this is my viewpoint about talking about relationships in a public way.
Yes.
To me, if you are publicly telling people how wonderful my love is, or if you get any type of permanent ink on your body that's like an initial or anything, that's normally the first step to breaking up. So I normally will not talk about it, but because I love you, I'll be happy to, you know, and I think you know us well enough, you talk about it anyway.
Yes.
So, yes, we met and we were both prosecutors, and then we ended up, we both left and went to private firms to do white-collar criminal defense, and then I became a judge. And I tell people that we dated for over 6 years before we got engaged. And I tell people that once I became a judge and I had good health benefits and a good pension, I suddenly was a much more attractive candidate for marriage. But no, but I do think, you know, the one thing that, and I would tell any person considering committing, you know, to marriage, is, do you have the same values? And I don't think you have to have the same religion. I don't think you have to have the same politics, but if you, it does help. And so for Paul and I, we're both devoutly Catholic. And that has been the glue that has, you know, bound us together through all of these years. It's the entire foundation for our family. And I think that part of spirituality and being able to lean on that whenever times get tough, because listen, marriage is no walk in the park. There's great days, there's bad days. Most days, God willing, are fine, and you build a life together, and you go through life together. But for these challenging moments for us, the church has really been our backstop and really, you know, what has bound us together. And so also we really respect each other's opinion. And so what's good, we respect each other's opinion, but I never tell him what to do with regards to his job, and he never tells me what to do. So if we wish to ask for the other person's advice, we will, but we never ever just insert ourselves into what's going on with the other person's work. Only if, you know, only if one of us says, hey, I want to bounce this by you. What do you think? So I think it's just really mutual respect. And if you marry someone that can make you laugh, and that's the bonus, because it, you know, there may be days, I'm sure, that I get on his last nerve, or he's on my last nerve, and then he'll say something super funny because my husband is super witty, and luckily I get the vast majority of his jokes, and so then we'll start laughing, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine, everything's good now, it's fine. So,
and Michelle, I really do appreciate you answering this question, because I have asked Paul and Michelle Sisco from the very beginning when I first launched Love in America. So, you know, it's on the record, then I have a bunch of sub-series, and you guys are my incredible women with inspiring stories. I have asked Paul and Michelle, please, will you come on Love in America? And they have said, no, no, no. So thank you for giving us a glimpse.
Yes.
But I'm still working on it. Hey,
Okay,
you know me.
I know.
You know, I'm determined.
I
You know
know.
me. I mean, I'm
I know.
determined. It takes years sometimes, but sometimes I'll get that interview. So before we wrap up the show, and it's not just for young girls, young men, you know, but you speak to both. And Rita, even before we go there, I want to congratulate you tell us about USF. About what we were talking about right before the show.
Yes, they're doing a study with women right now, and so they've interviewed 100 women throughout the United States, and we had the opportunity to be interviewed yesterday to talk a little bit about leadership, emerging leaders, the various things that really make us who we are and have made us successful, so I'm very excited about that. And there's just many other things along those lines. My book says a little bit about who I am, and I do enjoy people looking and reading at that, and if I receive just one that says, hey, thank you for that, then I know it's been worthwhile. It was really therapeutic for me, and that's the reason I did that. But a lot of good things going on with USF. I actually sit on their advisory board. Several of our associates are what they call mentors. And so we believe in USF tremendously in what they do for our community and for the United States.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
So what words of advice would each of you have, though? And, you know, and I say young boys and girls, but really specifically to young girls out there and women who are, you know, aspiring to be women like you.
Well, I do want to, because you mentioned it about honesty and integrity, and so I do think that that has to be the premise, the launching pad. Like, that's got to be how you live your life. I really think that's important, because as my dad told me, you know, there's so many things in life you have no control over. Your integrity and your reputation for integrity is the only thing you can give away. And if you lose it, it's because you gave it away. And so I think that's a very important thing, you know, to remember. And I tell attorneys, young attorneys, because I see, you know, young attorneys, young prosecutors, young defense attorneys, and I tell them, I said, listen, I like to think of myself, the Tom Petty song, She's a Woman in Love, and the lyric is, she can understand a problem, she can let the little things go. And so I tell attorneys, I really hope that I try to have that approach to things. You're going to make mistakes. No one's perfect. Just own up to it. That's all you have to do. Don't ever mislead me. If you've made a mistake, just say, Judge, this is what happened. I'm so sorry. What do we need to do to fix that? Perfect. But if you in any way ever mislead me or deceitful in any way, I will never trust you again. And if I can't trust you, then your word has no value to me. The words that you speak have no value to me. So I think that's a really important foundational thing for all, you know, girls and guys. And two, I just think try not to be afraid to go for it. When the opportunity presents itself, say to yourself, you know what, I can do this. I can do this as well as anybody else. Why not me? Why shouldn't I be the one to go for it? And I think that also, my mom was my biggest cheerleader, and so my mom would always fluff me up. Even if I wasn't the best at something, she would always tell me I was. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I think I can do this. So really having, you know, belief and really self-love for yourself and your own how worthwhile you are and what you can contribute to it.
And, you know, I so believe in that, because I tell my daughter Sammy and your daughter Sophie that there's a difference between being cocky and confident. And I tell all women, you know, when I talk to young girls especially, be confident, you know, and honestly, like your dad said, you can't give away your honesty and integrity.
No.
I mean, you
can't give it away. No one takes it.
No one takes it from you. No one takes it from you. English is my fifth language, so I get a little bit confused, as people know. So Rita, what is your you know, like, I honestly, like, my words get, like, that's why I don't, and people ask me all the time, do you speak all those languages still? And I say no, because the therapist years ago said she's getting too confused with all these words. But anyway, it's not about me.
You just think all of it.
I just think all of it, and I can't get them all out. So Rita, what would your words of advice be?
First of all, I love emerging leaders. That's a passion of mine. And one of the things that I have done over the years is I've taken 25 young people to Washington, D.C., because I'm there so often advocating. And I gave them 36 hours with 10 congressional leaders and the FDIC so that they could see what it's about and how you do that. And so one of the things that I always believe in is show and share and be a part of that. We have an intern right now that will be going through all of our departments, and we think that's so important. But the main thing, and I said this earlier, is you need to be true to yourself. You need to know who you are. You need to be authentic. And what you're doing it from your heart. You're not doing it for any publicity or anything like that. The accolades that come are very nice, but as my team knows, it's not about me. It's about the entire team doing what they do so well in our community, and that's giving back to our community. And I believe that that should be your really goal in life, is what can you do to improve where we are. And that's why at Pilot Bank we came on with in the business of community, because that's what we do. We are in the business of community, and I feel like every day I'm in the business of leading others to do the best that they can for our community and for the state of Florida and for our United States, because we are very privileged to be able to live in this great country that we call the USA.
Amen.
Yes, amen. And we just celebrated Memorial Day. All right, guys, seriously, right? Incredible stories from inspiring women. I would encourage people to share this podcast, to listen to this great advice. It will make you better. As always, thank you so much for watching. You can find me on multiple social media platforms. I love when this comes up. Look at this. I didn't know I was on all of this stuff.
Wow.
That is great.
But as always, everybody, I also encourage you to reach out to me and ask who you want on the record, because we get requests and we put you on. So thanks again so much for watching. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you, Serena.
Thank-